Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're doing It Came From the Network. The topic of this It Came From the Network, ECW Hardcore TV from December 24th, 1995, and if you want to watch it on Peacock, it'll be marked as Season 2, Episode 52. The reason this was selected all through the month of July, and this is the very last one because it's the last day of July at the time of recording. We partnered with my friend Bucky749 and his brother Jeremy for Jeremy's Christmas in July. As you can see, this is an episode that aired Christmas Eve. So I wanted to do this because I specifically remembered one part of this show that tied it all in. With that being said, check out, there's going to be a link in the description to Bucky's channel. Go check him out. We grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. We start the show off with a highlight package of the feud between Rey Mysterio Jr. at the time and Psychosis, which is the same Rey Mysterio you know now. Which is going to lead us, there's going to be the one match on the show, and this is a one match card, but there's a lot to talk about. So we get highlights of their feud leading up to the match that they're going to show. Then we also get highlights of Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio. At this point, they had all of the championships in ECW. Sandman was world champion. Scorpio, who was going temporarily by 2 Gold Scorpio, was both the TV champion and the tag team champion, with Sandman, who was also the tag team partners of Scorpio, and they were managed by Woman. For that opening segment, I'm going to give it all a 5. I thought it was pretty awesome. Just some of what Paul Heyman did best with ECW. And I'll talk about that a lot more later. He found a way to edit into highlights to make you super excited. Edit in these little things where a wrestler like Sandman is never going to be number 1 on the PWI 500. He was never going to be somebody that has 6 or 7 5-star matches in the Wrestling Observer. However, he has something, and he has likability, and he has a gimmick. So the way that Paul Heyman would highlight people, it was just a master class of what you could do with wrestling. Coming from that, we get our one and only match of the show, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Psychosis, in a Mexican death match, which is actually from the November to Remember, I believe just a little bit over a month before. This was a fantastic match. At the time I'm recording this, we're just a day removed from SummerSlam, which they did a last man standing match, which is very similar. The main difference being is in a Mexican death match or a Texas death match, you have to get a pinfall before there's a 10 count. So, to me, it makes it more exciting because in a regular last man standing match, you just get counted down for 10. In this, you get to see Rey Mysterio pin Psychosis, Psychosis pin Mysterio. So there's argument coming out of it, well, yeah, I might have lost, but during the match, if this was a normal match, 5 times I pinned the other guy. And he was down for the 3 count. So any other match, I would have won 5 different times. This was absolutely fantastic. They wrestle all over. They combined the lucha style and the ECW style seamlessly. Stuff that they were doing at this time was not seen in America before this. And I want to emphasize that for people that don't know or weren't alive at this time frame. The style of wrestling, the lucha influence, really started here. And a little bit before with the WCW When Worlds Collide pay-per-view that they did with AAA. But this is when it got onto a national scene, and then it really blew up when it became part of WCW when they started bringing in all the cruiserweights. But initially, all the cruiserweights, all the Mexican talent from AAA was going to ECW. Guys like Psychosis, Mysterio, Conan, La Parca, Juventud, they all did stints in ECW before going on to WCW. Anyway, this was revolutionary, so revolutionary at the time. that influence on lucha has totally changed the landscape of wrestling to where now, 20 plus years later, you see guys like the Young Bucks, you see guys like Private Party, American wrestlers that grew up with that hybrid style that also kind of went into the X Division style. And that's now the style. That's the standard style of wrestling. Everybody's doing planchas. Everybody does Hunan Karanas. A moonsault is something that everybody on every roster can do. I digress. The match was fantastic. Ray did pick up the win. I'm giving this a 5. We come back from our break. We get Jason, who at the time was managing the Eliminators, comes out, tries to recruit Rey Mysterio Jr. to manage him. The Eliminators attack when Ray turns him down, which brings out 911, which will start a short partnering of Rey Mysterio and 911, which I always enjoyed. I loved them as a tag team. It was very much a great odd couple tag team. Then we go from that to Hype Central, which was another highlight type thing with Lance Wright, where we get to see little snippets of the Eliminators doing a promo, 911, and also Sandman talking about future matches. Sandman talking about he's about to wrestle Conan. Eliminators and 911 talking about each other. Pretty good video here. Then we go into, right in from that, we get a highlight reel, another feud highlight of the Pitbulls and Eliminators feud, including Francine, including 911, including Jason as well. Just another fantastic piece of editing to make all these guys, everybody in this looked important. The Pitbulls, the Eliminators, 911, Sandman, they all looked important because of the way they edited this and made it look like something you can't miss. I'm going to give that segment a 5 as well. We go to another commercial break. We come back. We get a recap from last week of the Public Enemy dancing in the ring with Bubba Ray Dudley. At the time, he hadn't quite yet became what we would see. This is a stuttering version of Bubba Ray. We see the Heavenly Bodies come out to attack Bubba, which they get ran off by both Bubba and Public Enemy, which leads us into a Bubba Ray Dudley interview. I'm giving that all a 5. I thought it was really all. I keep saying 5s, and I might be biased, but everything they do in the way that it's edited is so great here that you can't help but give it such a high marking. Coming from that, we go into what is known in most wrestling circles as the Pulp Fiction segment. This is usually what they would end ECW with, which is a lot of quick cuts between highlights, between interviews, between promos, set to a song called Miserlou by Dick Dale. It's not on the Miserlou is not on the network version, by the way. But at the time, Miserlou was famous because it had just been in Public Enemy. It was just in the movie Pulp Fiction. So that's why these are called the Pulp Fiction segments, because they played the song. It's an instrumental surf rock song. Check it out. It's actually a really awesome song. So we go into that, and this is what takes up the rest of the show, and I'm going to try and cover this as quickly as I can, but it's probably going to drag out because saying it is probably going to take longer than it took to show it. We get snippets of a Sandman interview, which leads into an snippets from an Eliminators interview. Then we get an interview with Pat Kelly of the Yankees and 911. Pat Kelly, I don't really remember him. I guess he was a big deal at the time. Then we go to part of this is the reason why I picked this. This is one of the things I remembered. Sprinkled through this, there's all these segments of hardcore home movies with Cactus Jack, a.k.a. Mick Foley, and his family celebrating Christmas and going to Santa's Village. So the Christmas theme really comes out in the Cactus parts of this, and it has him sitting on the couch with a very young Noel Foley, highlights of him going to Santa's Village, riding the rides, talking about how hardcore he is. It's fantastic. If you have not seen Cactus Jack's work in ECW, It is some of the best work that any wrestler has done in any company at any time. It is fantastic, especially his promo work. His promo work here is light years above what most wrestlers can do. Coming off of the first Cactus video, we go to a Fonzie promo. Fonzie's all over the place. Then we get Joey Styles and Scott Clark, who gets Sportscaster of the Year. I guess he's from a local CBS channel. I've never heard of the guy. I don't remember him at all. Then we go back to a promo with Fonzie and Taz. Then we get back to another snippet from Cactus and the Cactus Jack's holiday video. Then we get Rey Mysterio and 911 together. Then we go back to a little bit of the Sandman promo. Then we go back to Cactus Jack again. Then we get a little bit of the Pitbulls doing a promo. Then we get a promo from Beulah McGillicuddy talking about Beulah's box, which was a thing, kind of like a write-in thing, where fans would write letters to Beulah, and they would go into her box. Yes, it's a double entendre. Yes, it's the 90s. Go back to Cactus Jack again. Then more video from Cactus. Then we go to Taz and another snippet from Taz and Fonzie. Then back to Cactus Jack. Then we get a little snippet of a Stone Cold, well, he's not quite Stone Cold yet, superstar Steve Austin doing what would be pretty much the prototype of the Stone Cold character in ECW. It's been said over and over again, the Stone Cold character came from the segments that Steve Austin was able to do in ECW, where he was just allowed to be himself. And this is just awesome. Then we go back to Cactus Jack. Again, we get another little snippet of the Eliminators, back to more of Cactus Jack. Then we get a little bit of 911. Then we get Bubba Dudley again. It's a little bit of a snippet of the interview he did just before this. Then back to Fonzie. And finally finishing out with Cactus Jack again with the final of his hardcore home videos celebrating Christmas. So this, if you haven't seen any of the Pulp Fiction videos, you can see how much they crammed in there. They got 2 celebrities in there talking about ECW. They have Taz, Cactus Jack, Sandman, 911, Rey Mysterio, Beulah McGillicuddy, the Pitbulls, Fonzie. All these guys that everybody knows as ECW talent, and all of them looking in their best possible light. It was a fantastic promos. They were fantastic segments, and I know that I've seen backstage videos where Heyman would have them do 5 and 6 takes and be up till 2 o'clock in the morning to get a 15-second piece to throw into these. And because of that, everything came out so good. It was so amazing how much that Paul Heyman could do with so little. Here we have a 1-hour show that has 1 match on it. However, you never get bored. It's quick cuts. It's almost like TikTok wrestling. It's almost like little snippets that you would see on TikTok. It was just fantastic. Again, I'm going to give that final segment a 5. This is the mastery of Paul Heyman at his peak. I think 95, a lot of people will say 95 is one of ECW's better years. I don't disagree. I think it definitely is. 95 and 97 to me are the 2 banner years for ECW, with the stories being told in both of those years and the innovations that were going on. I think they're the 2 best years in ECW history. This was an absolutely fantastic show, as you could probably guess. I'm giving the whole thing a 5. Everything on here was amazing in my opinion. I know there are some people that will disagree, and you're welcome to your opinion. Not everybody likes the same thing. Some people like turkey sandwiches, some people like roast beef, some people like peanut butter and jelly. Everybody has their own flavor. This, to me, ECW, for the time it was alive, was the best wrestling show that I've personally ever seen. And it's basically ECW took what Memphis wrestling, CWA wrestling was, and dialed it up another 2 or 3 notches. Took all the stuff that Memphis was doing that made them popular, updated it for the new generation. I mean, think about it. Watch an old Memphis show, you get highlight videos over rock music of the time. Watch an ECW show, you get highlight videos over rock or rap music of the time. You get wild, bloody brawls. You get some of the best talkers in the history of wrestling cutting promos. ECW is just an evolution of that. And it's no disrespect to Memphis. Memphis has great shows. I'm just saying that Paul Heyman seen what Memphis Wrestling was doing and made ECW what that was and made it part of everything. With all that being said, smash that like button, hit that share button, subscribe if you haven't, and if you made it all the way to the end, we've kept everything on these Jeremy's Christmas in July. We've kept it all Christmas themed for this. So let's put Christmas ornaments or just ornaments in the comments if you made it to the end to let me know. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and it's been another It Came From the Network.